I'm 13. My parents just told me I'm adopted. The parents that I grew up with, the parents that I trusted and loved. How could this happen? Why did they keep this from me? Was I really that big of a mistake that my birth parents had to put me up for adoption? According to Adoption and Beyond, a licensed adoption agency, 6 in 10 Americans have personal experience with adoption. Upon the class analysis that I performed, out of the 5 students, each person had at least one experience with adoption. Bringing life into this world is a precious moment for the parents and the surrounding members of the family. But first, under circumstances, adoption is the best choice. But first, emotions should be considered, as should the type of adoption being pursued. When I found out I was pregnant, I was scared. I was in a moment of shock. I have 2 kids at home. I'm pursuing my master's degree, and I have to keep a full-time job. There's some weeks I can't even afford to pay groceries. How am I going to bring another child into this family? I knew that I was not in a position to parent another kid. But once the shock wore off, I started researching my options. But adoption, that would not work with my family. They wouldn't accept that option, that choice. I just knew that I didn't want to deal with the social humiliation. After hearing this testimonial, this is not an abnormal feeling for birth parents to feel. Timing is not right for multiple reasons in this situation, and she's also scared of public humiliation. This is not an abnormal reason for adoption to be considered. Put simply, adoption is when a family takes a child into their home from different birth parents and raise them as their own. Stated in Healy 2011. Most people adopt a child because they are unable to have a family of their own, or they want to make a change in another person's life. Birth parents may put up their kids for adoption because timing, or they want to give their kid a better chance at quality of life. After deciding adoption would benefit both parents and the child, it's time to consider the type of adoption agencies out there. First, there's private, which it brings a whole new openness to the situation. The birth parents are able to have a sort of communication with the adoptive parents, but there is still boundaries that need to be set by both of the parents since an agency is not involved. A private agency is a type of agency that is funded by the American government and only takes place in the United States. There are many different avenues to go down, but most agencies nowadays are allowing counseling for both sets of parents and the kid as they find out about the adoption process. But they're also insisting of some sort of openness as they found that this helps with the coping. Regardless of what avenue parents decide to take, all parents must go through a pass the test for suitability for adoption. Agencies call this getting to know the experience, which includes family assessment, FBI clearance, health insurance, and home inspections. No matter what type or reason of adoption, there is always the role of emotions to be throughout the process of life. Most adoption workers agree with this statement, stated in Mo 2007. Adoption is a lifelong issue. In other words, adoption presents an ongoing work for everyone concerned. Think of the kids' well-being. Kids' well-being is usually what brings the parents to consider adoption. This doesn't stop even after the kid has been adopted and living with the adopted parents for years. Understanding that lifelong implications of the adoption do take place, and some emotions include grief, loss of control, identity issues, intimacy, shame, and guilt. In my analysis that I performed, when asked about the biggest impact they thought would be on the kid, it was unanimous that they felt that the kid would feel unwanted, or the child would go through times of feeling abandoned, low self-esteem, or feeling that their life that they've once known has been lost. Many questions will have to be answered by the parents to prove some sort of identity and lead the kid on a positive road through this coping. Whatever happens in adoption affects three groups: the birth parents, the adoptive parents, and the children. All of these parties have something to gain, but they share an issue of loss. Loss requires grieving, and grieving takes time, and in some cases, it's a lifetime, stated in Mo 2007. No matter how adoption is being approached, it is a sensitive topic touching many people's lives and well-being.